Design.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening once again from San Francisco, and once again tonight I am in the Marina Residential District. The damage that you see behind me is really not representative of the entire city. This is the area that was hardest hit, and most of these homeowners and residents have been evacuated from their places. The rest of the Bay Area is beginning its slow struggle to recover, but there were sharp reminders again today of the forces of nature, aftershocks. One registering as high as 5.0 on the Richter scale, 3 of them altogether in the peninsula south of here near the epicenter of the big Tuesday earthquake. This is the end of the second full day then of the recovery, and it is going pretty well, although in some of those peninsula communities, Hollister and Santa Cruz, they've been hit hard, especially in their economic and business regions. But the greatest tragedy is across the bay in Oakland. Interstate 880, a 1-mile section of that highway coming off the Oakland Bay Bridge, collapsed, trapping an untold number of cars and trucks, although now, after a survey, they say there may not be as many vehicles in there as they had originally estimated. But the rescue work is difficult and it is depressing. And NBC's George Lewis is there tonight.
For the search and rescue crews, the grim part of the job is just beginning. They're cutting up and hauling away sections of the collapsed freeway, getting down to the cars and the people crushed beneath the concrete. One of the first discoveries, this automobile, with the body of its driver, a man, trapped inside. The people involved in the search efforts say it has been an overwhelming experience.
Never seen anything like this. Never before in my life. It's a disaster. It's the worst disaster I've ever seen in my police career.
Jay Solorio, a young volunteer, says he holds on to hope that people are still alive in the structure.
And there's a lot of pockets in the structure in the upper deck that are cracked up, and there has to be someone in there that's still alive. I believe there is.
The mayor of Oakland says a maximum effort will be made to uncover bodies of victims as rapidly as possible to ease the uncertainty and suffering of their families. He says he, too, is still shocked by what happened.
It's almost unbelievable that we could, today, just construct something like this that would be so vulnerable to the forces of nature.
A lot of new questions are being raised about the way the freeway was constructed. California Governor George Deukmejian has promised a thorough investigation by a blue ribbon panel.
Cypress section, the collapse of it. And I expect to be naming the chairman of that inquiry team probably before the end of this day is out.
The governor's investigation will also look into what happened to the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, where a section dropped during the earthquake, putting the bridge out of commission for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Engineers said they had anticipated problems on the bridge in a major earthquake, but that the catastrophic collapse of Interstate 880 caught them by surprise. This is the way the double-deck freeway looked when it was designed in the late 50s. It was constructed on landfill, reclaimed soil. Beneath the ground, landfill tends to behave like water in a violent quake, undulating in huge waves, amplifying the motion of the earth. Tuesday afternoon, when the earthquake occurred, it was enough to bring the 1.25 miles of freeway crashing down. Engineers say if the freeway's columns had been wrapped with a special metal blanket, that could have dampened the waves, preventing a collapse. Among the questions to be asked now, why were preventative measures given such a low priority in a region so prone to earthquakes? Why was the state caught so off guard? George Lewis, NBC News, Oakland.
One 6-year-old boy was rescued from the nightmare of Interstate 880, but only after doctors had to amputate his leg and remove him from beneath his dead mother. It was a long and very difficult ordeal. And NBC's Roger O'Neill tonight has more on other people involved in life and death along Interstate 880.
They came to the Nimitz Freeway for 1,000 reasons. Scott Lynn came here because his wife Gina, 6 months pregnant, was driving on the lower level when the earthquake hit. Scott said he had to come to try to understand.
We lost the baby. We were both looking forward to it, you know. It's one of those things, nothing you can do about it.
Gina Lynn said she was driving home from work toward the Bay Bridge when she saw the collapsing sections of pavement from the upper deck coming toward her.
What I crawled out of was like a foot from the top to the bottom. There could have been more, I don't know, from my car to that spot. I just crawled. It's the only thing I could do.
These two men were at the bridge today because they know a friend and co-worker is trapped somewhere between the pavement.
Now, our hope is that somewheres, if he's in there, he's alive. Okay? That's our best hope. That's our only hope now.
And this man's brother-in-law is missing. Albert Chenoweth was driving a van to the airport.
I hope, because my finger is not here, but I doubt it.
Sandy Yates said it was though a magnet pulled her to Highway 880 today.
I just know that it's hard to take into your heart and into your brain what has really happened. But on the other side of the coin, we have to say, thank you, dear God, that it's not worse, because all these buildings could be down.
The 880 bridge drew many people to it, and for some, seeing it helped them understand. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Oakland.
Here in San Francisco, by and large, calmness prevails, but nerves are beginning to be frayed when San Francisco Mayor Art Agnos came to this area today, to the Marina District. He had an angry confrontation with many of the homeowners here. We have more on the San Francisco story tonight from NBC's Don Oliver.
Giant claws were tearing at the condemned buildings in San Francisco's Marina District. Officials now believe the damage in San Francisco alone may reach $2 billion. There is no longer any hope victims will be found alive in the damaged buildings, so they are being torn down. As the demolition continued, some residents were quite concerned that they were not being allowed back into their apartments to retrieve their possessions.
I guess I'm afraid they're going to tear it down before I even get 10 or 15 minutes there to take some things out.
An estimated 2,000 Marina residents gathered beside the San Francisco Bay for a meeting with city officials. Many were angry that they're not being told what the timetable for restoration of services will be and when they can return to their homes. Mayor Art Agnos tried to respond to their concerns.
There will be no demolition of any housing unless you know about it who live in it, the owners or the renters.
The rest of San Francisco was seeking normalcy today. Rapid transit under the bay was running on schedule, and traffic on freeways leading to the city was moving fairly well, despite closure of the Oakland Bay Bridge. Power has been restored to all but 96,000 residents of the Bay Area. Hotels put away their emergency generators, served their last meals on paper plates, and made sure the elevators were in working order. It was not too soon for the overworked bellman.
How many floors?
14. Around town, workmen were checking older buildings for signs of structural damage. One, built in 1917, may never reopen. The main city library, where the shifting of 7 floors of book stacks has resulted in the structure being declared unsafe.
Fairly scary.
Tourists expecting to ride the famed cable cars were disappointed. The cars were in the barn until their signal lights are restored. And the San Jose Mercury News was disappointed to see the reappearance of the San Francisco Chronicle. The Mercury News sold 19,000 papers yesterday in San Francisco when the Chronicle's presses weren't working.
Free paper. Anybody want free paper?
Today, the Mercury News was being given away. Don Oliver, NBC News, San Francisco.
All right.
And in Washington, NBC's John Cochran reports the White House, sensitive to criticism the president took too long to visit the Hurricane Hugo area, but the president will be coming to San Francisco tomorrow for a personal tour. Today, there was a flap between Mayor Agnos and Vice President Quayle, who visited here yesterday without seeing the mayor or other top city officials. This is the exchange.
I want to tell you, I was kind of ticked off yesterday when I see his helicopter roaming around above the city, and I see him on television, but he couldn't come 15 blocks to see the mayor of the city or any of the top officials to find out from us what we needed.
I was there to help people, and I think that kind of talk is unfortunate, but we're here. We're going to make sure that we do the best that we can to help the people in San Francisco.
No one knows for sure the price tag on this earthquake. The mayor of San Francisco, Art Agnos, is saying he thinks it'll be higher than $2 billion. In the meantime, tourism and convention business is a big piece of the San Francisco economy, and city officials and hotel owners are doing all they can to assure tourists and people who are coming here for conventions everything will be okay, but business is bound to drop off. I'll be back in just a few moments. We'll be taking a look at other earthquake faults across this country and the business of seismology right after this.
know what's the best thing about this Quaker oatmeal flavor variety? I'll tell you. You can have a different flavor every day, and they're all oatmeal. Instant Quaker oatmeal. It's the right thing to do and 5 tasty ways to do it.
I used to take ibuprofen. Ibuprofen irritated my stomach sometimes. When I went to my doctor told me that Tylenol would not cause the stomach irritation that ibuprofen can. He recommended that I start using Tylenol, and I went to Tylenol. I got very good results. I got relief from my headache.
Debbie Eckert trusts Tylenol. Its pain reliever is in a class by itself.
I'm not going to experiment with any other types of pain relief medications.
Ever try this coffee?
Oh, no. I use a special blend, brewed fresh.
So do we. But then we freeze dry to lock in superior flavor and aroma until you release it. Perfect.
Who are you?
We're Taster's Choice.
The whole San Francisco Bay Area will now become a laboratory for earthquake experts. They'll be studying all of this to see what they can learn about future quakes. Our chief science correspondent, Robert Bazell, has also been studying it. Bob?
Tom, hundreds of scientists are descending on the area, studying the effects of the quake, trying to learn how to better predict future earthquakes and limit the damage. One lesson is that California's building codes work. Many people inside the city's skyscrapers were terrified, but the buildings were not damaged.
They were extremely well designed. They were designed in accordance with our best modern standards.
Using devices which simulate an earthquake, engineers are trying to design even more resistant structures. In the past decade, by studying the layers of rock along faults, seismologists have charted the record of California earthquakes over thousands of years. Their conclusion is that major earthquakes occur with regularity, hitting each segment of the fault with about the same intensity every 100 to 200 years. Using that information, scientists recently calculated the probabilities for earthquakes along all of California's major fault systems for the next 30 years. They concluded that the chances were 50% that an earthquake of magnitude 7 would strike either the San Andreas or Hayward Fault in the Bay Area. But the scientists emphasized that the Bay Area is not out of danger because of Tuesday's quake.
The danger for the Hayward Fault that runs through the very populous area of the East Bay of San Francisco continues to be a worry, something that we have been concerned about for the last several years.
The scientists also concluded there is a 50% chance of a 6.5 to 7 earthquake striking the San Jacinto Fault. And they said there is a 60% chance of a magnitude 7.5 to 8 earthquake striking the southern portion of the San Andreas Fault, east of the heavily populated Los Angeles basin. That earthquake would be 5 to 10 times more powerful than Tuesday's, and the scientists warned that many buildings in Southern California were built before the current codes went into effect, so the danger there remains great. Los Angeles has stepped up its emergency preparedness drill in recent years, but the San Francisco quake demonstrates that you can never prepare enough. Tom?
Thanks, Bob. And of course, California is not the only state subject to earthquakes. Take a look at this map of the United States and the earthquake zones. Only the upper Midwest seems to be free of them. One of the world's leading experts on earthquakes is Dr. Barry Raleigh, a geophysicist and dean at the University of Hawaii. Dr. Raleigh, what other parts of this country right now are in danger of having an earthquake in, say, the next 30 years or so?
Well, of course, Alaska is always in danger of great earthquakes, and California somewhat less so, but certainly Nevada, Utah, many parts of the West, and to some degree the East Coast, although certainly with a less likelihood of frequent recurrence.
Well, we see a lot of faults, for example, in the Northeast, particularly in the heavily populated areas of New York and Boston and those areas. But the soil composition there is a lot different. Are those faults as dangerous as, say, the San Andreas Fault?
The likelihood is they're not very dangerous in terms of the time interval between big earthquakes. The ground shakes better. It rings like a bell compared to California. So, of course, the damage expectations would be higher. The fact is, though, that the way the buildings are put together is probably more important than anything else in this case. And even with a very low probability of an earthquake in the East Coast, the likelihood of building failure would be very much higher, and therefore the risk is quite great.
Well, when you walk down through the streets of Manhattan or Boston, do you look at those high-rises and wonder how they would do if there were even a minor shaker? I
don't do that anymore. I walk down the streets of Honolulu.
Is that for safety reasons as well as your own academic interest?
No.
Well, what about New York? Would it be in grave danger if there were a minor shaker?
I think for minor earthquakes, the answer is no. And the experience, of course, is that very stiff, rigid buildings do quite well. I think really the risk in New York is I would judge, relatively low and not something that people should go to bed concerned about.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Barry Raleigh. More news in a moment.
My wife put Philips soft-tone pastel light bulbs all over the house. She says they make things look more attractive. I don't know about that.
I do.
New soft-tone pastels. It's time to change your bulb to Philips.
It's a new generation and we want a new world.
Sequential port, fuel injection, anti-lock brakes.
Days come and we want a new world.
Visual information center handles great.
This Oldsmobile is not our father's.
New generation for the sons and daughters.
This is the new generation of Oldsmobile.
Honey, why are you still eating cornflakes?
Because I always eat cornflakes.
Because you haven't thought about these.
Post-oat flakes?
They're light, they're crispy, they taste great. And post-oat flakes give you something cornflakes can't give you.
What's that?
Oats.
Oats?
Post-oat flakes are a significant source of oat bran. For oat nutrition, you can't get from cornflakes. Well, what do you think?
I think I'll always eat post-oat flakes.
Post-oat flakes. Oat nutrition you can't get from cornflakes.
This business may seem easy, but try doing this with minor arthritis pain. For years I took aspirin, but now there's Advil. It gives me hours of relief, yet it's gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
In other news tonight, a political blow for President Bush. The Senate has soundly turned back the idea of a constitutional amendment to ban burning the flag. More now from NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
Republicans brought boxes of mail to support their argument that millions of people want a constitutional amendment to protect the flag. They had the mail, but not the votes.
In my view, the flag ought to be flying at half-staff after this vote.
What is more important? A public opinion poll, a political position, a 30-second ad, or a 200-year-old Constitution we are sworn to uphold?
In fact, public clamor for a flag amendment has quieted since the Supreme Court decision last June made flag burning legal. Republican polls identified it as a hot issue. A week later, the president called for a constitutional amendment, but denied it was political.
Our purpose today transcends politics and partisanship.
But for Democrats, memories were still raw over how Bush used the flag issue against Michael Dukakis. They saw a replay in the president's call for a flag amendment.
To me, the most distressing aspect of this matter has been the eagerness with which the president sought to exploit the flag for political purposes.
Last week, Democrats tried to head off support for a constitutional amendment by passing a bill banning flag burning. Then Republicans lost two of their supporters for the amendment, Rudman of New Hampshire, Danforth of Missouri, saying the Bill of Rights should not be changed.
It would tear it down. And that's why I was mistaken to co-sponsor this amendment in the first place.
The vote was a rebuke to the president and a rare Democratic victory. But some congressmen still worry that the Republicans will use it against them in the next campaign. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the Capitol.
Tylenol or Ecotrin? Guess which one arthritis specialists choose. Surprised? It's Ecotrin, the aspirin with the orange safety coat to help protect your stomach. The arthritis specialist choice over Tylenol. That's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
Ooh, honey, don't come near me, please.
Oh, I can't. No, it's not a good idea.
Oh, no, baby, not right now.
Stop, sweetie. You don't want to get too close.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Scope has 2 powerful ingredients to kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Kiss me.
What are you waiting for?
Great kiss.
You may kiss me now.
Scope, the best thing first thing in the morning. Having the flu is a nightmare. Your throat's so sore. You're congested. You cough. Body aches all over. But now, there's Theraflu, the first and only hot medicine made just for flu symptoms. Theraflu, with a hot liquid like doctors recommend. Strong therapy for fever and cough. Strong therapy for aches and pains. Next time the flu strikes you, strike back with Theraflu.
Okay. But just suppose another tornado rips up our Meadville plant. Then what? Or suppose we have a string of accidents, like we did in '86. Suppose I get sick again. Would another insurance company come through like the people from the Hartford? I doubt it. And after 14 years, this fella is not about to find out.
When you need us most, we're at our best. The Hartford. Subaru apologizes to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona, for driving the new Subaru Legacy 60,000 miles in 19 days for a new world record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
In the Soviet Union, once again, the maverick politician Boris Yeltsin is under attack. This time, the issue is his character, and there's lots of it. NBC's Bob Abernathy.
7 months ago, Boris Yeltsin was a populist superstar running for the new Congress here against the Communist Party establishment and winning 89% of the vote. Now, Yeltsin is the center of gossip and controversy. The dispute began when Pravda reported Yeltsin was drunk during a U.S. tour last month, and Soviet television showed tape of a curiously playful Yeltsin at a U.S. speech. Then this week, in the Supreme Soviet, at the invitation of President Gorbachev himself, the Interior Minister told a bizarre tale. In the Dacha country outside Moscow, said the minister, Yeltsin alleged he was kidnapped late one night and thrown off this bridge into the Moscow River, from which he emerged downstream, dripping wet, to report to the police. Yeltsin's story, said the Interior Minister, was a fake.
I stated what Mr. Yeltsin told the militiaman, and he was lying.
Yeltsin now admits no physical attack was made on him, but he accuses Gorbachev of having staged a political farce in the Supreme Soviet to try to ruin his career. For his opponents, Yeltsin is now the object of ridicule, but others are more tolerant.
He's a simple man. He drinks as everybody. He's going to his girlfriend as everybody. It's not so bad.
Yeltsin's political future probably depends now on whether his recent behavior raises doubts about his judgment or confirms his humanity. Bob Abernathy, NBC News, Moscow.
In this country, some good news about the economy. In September, the consumer price index was up just 0.2%. That means for the year, inflation now running at under 4.5%. And that means on Wall Street, people were buying today. The market was up very sharply.
Think about it. Your telephone is really a payphone, but now you can pay less. With MCI's new Prime Time, this 26-minute call at 8 p.m. from Chicago to Miami costs 32% less. MCI's new Prime Time. Sign up now.
There's no reason in the world why we shouldn't continue to do the things that we enjoy doing in life. Granted, we have the odd aches and pains. Well, my goodness, I mean, what can we expect at our age? But I find that if I have Bufferin, a cup of tea and a couple of Bufferin, and I can continue. And Bufferin, my brand of aspirin, allows me to do the things that I want to do. I really wouldn't be without it for that reason.
Bufferin, so you can do the things you want to do.
If you thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, Norelco says, think again. Their revolutionary shaving system shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. As the hair enters the chamber, the patented lift and cut system lifts each hair and holds it a split second before a blade cuts it, so it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. The lift and cut shaving system from Norelco. We made close comfortable.
When Ocean Spray adds ripe red raspberries to tangy cranberries, something cool and refreshing happens to chicken. Cran Fruit brand sauces add a cool, refreshing to everything.
This is the main emergency center for earthquake victims. Those people who have been forced out of their homes can come here for what information is available or for emergency supplies. There are really two kinds of homeless as a result of the earthquake. Those people who have been evacuated and those who just don't want to go back home. NBC's Bob Dotson tonight.
The marina is one of the areas still without power.
It is hard to hold your breath and sleep at the same time.
What do you need, hon?
So some San Franciscans have moved to city parks, away from the tilting walls of their homes downtown.
Oh, yeah, that's much better. We don't have to worry about the roof coming down.
The earthquake so frightened Valerie Graff, she will not go to one of the many shelters that are now open.
My body's telling me I'm not ready to go down there. I'm already shaking.
In an earthquake, more than bricks and mortar can injure. Sheer terror can scar the mind.
That's what I'm afraid of, is being in a building right now.
The fear is often overlooked when the rattling stops and the shaken find comfort in each other's arms. But it is never forgotten.
I can't go back to where I was at. The roof is coming in, so there's no way I'm going back there. I got what I need, and if the rest of it falls down into the next floor below, that's okay.
It is difficult to live under the constant threat of instant disaster. Even now, when the joggers return to city parks and fewer sirens puncture the silence, Valerie finds it easier to console others than to be soothed herself. The 1906 earthquake survivors forever marked the calendar of their lives by what happened that day. So will Valerie Graff. Bob Dotson, NBC News, under the open sky of Golden Gate Park.
The patron saint of San Francisco, of course, is St. Francis of Assisi, and his prayer seems especially relevant for the entire earthquake area. It goes, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. That's Nightly News for this Thursday night. I'm Tom Brokaw in San Francisco, and I'll see you tomorrow night.